what corporate career can give you first is exposure to very powerful people.
Okay.
This is very, very important. You can get, in a corporate environment, you can get access to people who are 10, 20, 30 years ahead of you and that manage money and problems that are way beyond what you can experience in your own environment.
Home with a thought in my heart, got me thinking really hard. Am I really this far gone? Reverse the damage that I've caused, man. At a point where I really don't know now. Trying to get myself out.
You know, I'm very afraid when you tap on the desk because with your Kyokushin skills, you might actually break it. Please don't.
Yeah, sorry.
Go away, making sure I'm on a
Wow,
new type of
that's
wave.
interesting. On the other hand, I would like to ask you, what do you see beneficial in a corporate career?
Well, as I told you before, I'm not the most conscientious of people.
Okay.
And I think it's a common problem for creative people and creative problem solvers, because when your brain is wired to find the shortcut, more or less you tend to get lazy. But this shouldn't be a problem. What corporate career can give you first is exposure to very powerful people.
Okay.
This is very, very important. You can get, in a corporate environment, you can get access to people who are 10, 20, 30 years ahead of you and that manage money and problems that are way beyond what you can experience in your own environment. So this for me is the most crucial thing. Maybe I was lucky to have the opportunity to work with very high-ranking executives. The people I work with keep appearing in the lists of the most powerful women in Bulgaria, the most powerful business people in Bulgaria. They get awards. And this exposure to problems that are way beyond what you would generally get if you go on your own to begin with,
Yeah.
is very useful. Of course, the discipline and the working habits that you develop in working in a corporate environment are very, very, very useful. Right now I see a problem in the entrepreneurial environment and in the startup environment that people are very soft, man.
Why?
Well,
Because they haven't trained Kyokushin, you know.
yes, maybe it's the sport.
Well,
Sport actually. Yes,
tough.
it is. It is. But
Good example as well.
well, what corporate environment actually helps you is to handle your ego first, because in a corporate environment you are just a brink in a very large organization. You're not that important, and you need to learn not to take yourself too seriously, but to take the work you do seriously.
Yeah.
This is something that has been very useful for me into the corporate environment. Uh, Having a regiment, having a 9 to 5 for a creative person is very tough.
It is.
Believe me, it's very tough, but it is very useful in the long run, because you don't want to do that for your whole life. Definitely not. But when you have the confidence that you can do it, you can afterwards execute on whatever plans you set for yourself and your business. So that's, for me, these are the top three: exposure to high-ranking people and problems, discipline that you develop, and squashing your ego to the ground.
And you know, do you have the ego by human design?
No, and this is for people who don't have a defined ego, it's even a bigger problem from what I know.
Right. I have it by human design, and I know how tough it is to be submissive to somebody else.
But it's not just has to be. I mean, if you go deep into human design, for you having an ego defined by human design, you don't need to be submissive. It's and when you expose your ego, it's fine.
Yeah.
The problem comes for people like me that don't have an ego and try to expose their ego. That's just a ridiculous situation. So you do have the right to be egocentric every once in a while.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's interesting. And what were your first steps in becoming an expert?
In finance, you mean?
In finance?
Yes. Well, it was the university bench, of course. I mean, I've always had a thought about financial things, about my own personal financial health.
Yeah.
But when I got into the business school, that really changed the game. When you start really learning about how options work, how stocks work, how financial risk management works, this really opens a perspective and shows you how little you actually know, and it really gives you a perspective of how low the financial culture of the entire community and people is in general is. So that was really the student bench was my first exposure, and it was a 2 year kind of program compressed in 6 months. So
Yeah.
it was quite intense. We had lectures for 8-9 hours a day, and then we had to study.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that was my first part. Theoretical knowledge is important. It wouldn't get you to really mastering the skill, but when you have a large foundation, you can then pick what to specialize in. So that was my first exposure. Then moving to Munich, working on this billion euro deals in 7 markets, was really a confidence boost. When you start operating in the billions,
Yeah.
then you really having your own financial problems to tackle, and having a startup financial problems to tackle is just a piece of cake. So it's again going back to the problem exposure. When you try to expose yourself to a very high ranking problems, then in perspective everything else seems easy.
Yeah, the learning process is very important, and the ongoing learning process is very important. Um, what do you think about money? Because I can share my view on the money, and I would say that the most amazing thing about money is how they modify people's behavior, and this is maybe the most powerful. So I always say, if you can move something with money only, that's not precious enough. And a lot of people behavior is predicated on how much money they get, or it's just money. If you have the money, you receive precisely the behavior that you want, and it's so powerful that you can actually achieve your goals. And that's interesting. How do you see money in your life?
To be honest, I completely disagree with the first part of your statement.
Which one?
That money changed people. Actually, I think that they're just an amplifier. So people, as you said, when
It doesn't change them. It doesn't change them. It just
exposes
again,
them.
That's for sure. But that's on the beholder. I'm saying on people that receive money, and all of their behavior will be predicated on money.
Well, it's a matter of interest. Of course, when you get when you're required a particular behavior to earn your living,
Yes.
you can compromise your personality.
Yeah.
That's for sure, and your integrity. Uh, there are very few people, unfortunately, that have a very solid earning ability.
Yeah.
And earning ability is basically the ability to make money with your skills, with being able to sell yourself and what you're doing to the market, and actually provide value for people. And when you don't have this earning ability mastered,
Yeah.
then you're dependent on money. When you're dependent on money, you cannot act in full integrity with people.
So you mean that when you have the skills, when you develop the skills, you can actually master money and not money mastering you.
Exactly.
So that would be the recipe to go ahead and to be successful entrepreneurs. Because for me, a successful entrepreneur can give more than they take, because in the long run, they know that they are talented enough to earn as much as they want to, and nothing would be predicated on them taking from other people and not providing value for what they take.
Always, like you always have to provide more value from what you get paid for, and this is it's a universal law. It has been written in books since forever, like since ancient times. If you want to progress in life, you first have to give in advance. You need to put in the work. You need to provide value, and but see, this is the tricky part. Having the skills and providing the value are two very, very different things.
Okay.
So this is the difference between being skillful at something and actually having a learning ability. Because you know hundreds of genius artists who died poor, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, and there are thousands and millions of talented people who can't make a living. So exactly the difference between skills and learning ability and skills and learning ability is being able to package what you have as a product and provide specific value for the customer. This is where sales come in handy. This is where marketing comes in handy.
Yeah.
And this is how you communicate and brand yourself to the world is sometimes way more important than actually the skills that you have. If you're able with a small skill set to provide big value, it's far more important for your success than having a large skill set and not being able to transfer it to the market.
So I believe that now at this point it's very, very important to establish the process of providing value, because as a new entrepreneur working for yourself entirely, it's very important to set up the process of providing value to your clients so that you know your competitive advantages and you know why you can sell, what are you selling, why is it valuable for your clients. Tell me in your case.
Well, in our case, I like the zero-sum approach to offering people.
Okay.
So I don't like working cheap. What I respect is working for free and working for market value.
Right.
And then that means either I will come to you, do something for free, so I establish myself and you have the value up front. Or if I'm already established and you're looking for my services, I would say, this is my price.
Okay.
I'm charging high, but then I will over deliver on that in terms of value. And this, you have to be very, very confident to be able to do it. And the way to building a confidence for the second part is do the first. Work for free. Like provide value up front.
So you can show results, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Because results are the best seller.
Exactly, yes.
If you can show results, if you can say, well, in my case, I've solved so many problems, I've solved so many complicated situations between partners in companies or between companies when some dispute appears, and you can say, well, we did this and that in these cases, so we have the knowledge, we have the experience, we can provide you value.
Yes, exactly. And exactly this, another important thing about this approach is you can choose who you work with.
Yeah.
When you provide the value up front for free, and you know what's your actual worth, you can choose the customers you work with. And this is very, very important, especially in a creative environment, because your energy is your most important asset whatsoever. So,
The energy.
yes, so if you have the reputation which comes from experience and from providing value up front, you can choose who you work with. And this is like the most rewarding thing about having a business of your own.
You know, I'm very afraid when you tap on the desk, because with your Kyokushin skills, you might actually break it. Please don't.
Yeah, so it probably affects the mic as well. So
Yeah, it affects the mic as well. But yeah, in this way, our listeners and viewers can actually feel